Okay, welcome then to this session on supporting systematic reviews. This is part one. So this is the first of two parts. And in this part one session, we will introduce the concept of searching the healthcare literature to support systematic reviews, from the initial framing of a question to demonstrate search using PICO, searching both keywords and subject terms, which would be applicable for both CINAHL and MEDLINE databases on the EBSCOhost interface. Now, I hasten to add, we are looking at the new EBSCOhost interface, the current interface. We do have Classic available still for some accounts. Some institutions are still using that, but obviously this is the way forward. And for some of you who have already switched over to this new interface. For some who may be students on this call, this may be what you would normally experience in any case. But there are some new features that have come out recently for the platform, which I may refer to as we go through this session. So part one is on searching. Part two, we'll look at how to process your search results once you've run that search. So I would encourage you to register for that session if you've not done so already. They do complement one another. Of course, if you've done part two previously and you're now doing it reverse, that's okay too. So let's proceed. Just to formally introduce myself, I'm Richard Crooks. I know I've met a number of you before, or you've attended some of my sessions online previously. I work for the EBSCO Customer Training Services team. I'm a senior customer training specialist based in the East Midlands in the UK, in England. I'm a chartered librarian by profession, having worked myself as a medical librarian in related roles in the NHS in England for a good few years, and now with EBSCO for more than 14 years. So welcome to the session this morning. In terms of the objectives, my hope and even expectation, which I hope is yours also, is that by the end of the session, you'll be able to describe the key steps in searching in support of systematic reviews. You'll also be able to plan an appropriate search strategy using the PICO framework. And there's another qualifier there, the T element, which I'll mention. You'll be able to locate and also use the methodological search filters, which have been designed for the EBSCOhost platform. So both CINAHL and MEDLINE are using that platform, which we'll look at in the live demonstration. And you'll also be able to find further support for EBSCOhost research databases. So again, some of you may not be using CINAHL MEDLINE specifically. You may use other EBSCOhost databases, for example, Academic Search Ultimate, AgeLine, and so on. Again, some of the principles that we look at today will be applicable to those databases. But of course, inevitably, between the databases, they have different indexing. So we have mesh terms for MEDLINE, so the medical sort of headings, and CINAHL headings for CINAHL, both provided by the National Library of Medicine. And I'll say more about that as we proceed. So I hope that's what you're expecting from this session today. If you have any other expectations or interest, please let us know in the Teams chat, and I'll try and incorporate that where possible. But please note, again, we're not looking at processing results once you've run the search. We are looking at the actual initial search. Okay, so just to remind us, a recap really of what is a systematic review. Some may be very new to this, others have a lot of experience in supporting reviews, etc. But we are looking at a review of a clearly formulated question that uses systematic and explicit methods to identify, select, and quickly appraise relevant research, and to collect and analyze data from the studies that are included in the review. So that's one definition. There are many out there, of course, and I am going to focus mainly on the identifying of what's out there. So essentially then what I'm going to do here is just really look at the identifying what's out there. So we won't cover the initial selection necessarily or the appraisal of the research, but we are looking at how to find that information, etc. Okay. In terms of setting the scene then, the goal, of course, in supporting systematic reviews is that you are attempting to identify all studies that can meet the eligibility criteria. So it could be yourself who's performed the review, or you're supporting those that do, etc. So you're trying to identify all studies, or some would argue the majority of studies, because finding all would probably be virtually impossible. So again, you're doing what you can to find what's out there in the literature according to the eligibility criteria, etc. So there are key points regarding the search steps that we need to know in regard to identifying what's out there. So this is the focus of this session. And the first thing, of course, is to understand the actual research question. So we have a research question in view. We'll look at one in a moment to begin to construct our search strategy, as it were. So that means we turn the question into an appropriate search strategy. And this is where we'll incorporate keyword and subject searching. So looking at free text terms that we can factor into our search strategy to find what's out there based on what is published, etc. and also incorporate the use of the control vocabularies. So for MEDLINE, it's the MESH or medical subheadings provided by the National Library of Medicine. For the CINAHL database, focusing on nursing and allied health, it is the CINAHL headings, also originating with the NLM, the National Library of Medicine. So again, keyword searching will just mirror what the authors, researchers, index abstractors use in terms of the way they write, what they use, the terms they use to identify concepts, subject terms based on the index terms that are assigned to papers that are indexed in a database. And then, of course, we want to factor in other means to expand our search, to enhance the search strategy. And that is the use of truncation, wildcards, and also proximity or precision search operators. So these elements can just enhance your search. They can provide shortcuts to find what's out there as opposed to entering so many terms. Okay, so again, this is designed to enhance the literature search. So we'll look at these, we'll go through the steps, etc., and also apply these in the actual live demonstration as much as possible as well. So the research question, of course, as you see here, is in adult cancer patients experiencing fatigue, what is the effect of meditation compared with standard care on quality of life within 6 months, so in the 6-month period, etc. So we have as the initial elements identified with the bold terms there. You can see adult cancer patients, they are experiencing fatigue. So fatigue is a key word here in this question. Meditation also, standard care, because there's a comparison with that, and also the outcome being quality of life, and then the time frame within a 6-month period. So I've already identified the key elements of this research question to begin to understand what search terms I should be including, and also what possible mesh terms or subheadings would be included in that search as well. So that lends itself to the following table, which gives us the PICO framework. So PICO being the patient population or problem, the intervention, comparison, outcome, and then with PICO, there's also the time or type of studies. That could be a particular clinical trial, randomized control trial, etc., as well as being a time frame. So I've already identified the population group. So these are adult cancer patients, obviously with underlying conditions. So not only do they have cancer, they'll also experience fatigue. The intervention, of course, is looking at meditation compared to standard care, and the outcome relates to quality of life, and we're looking at within a 6-month time frame. Now, I've identified the initial concepts, the free text search terms, as you see below those elements. So we've got adult or adults or adulthood. We've got cancer, neoplasms, oncology. So we're looking at synonyms here, alternative expressions of the same concept. You've got malignancy. For fatigue, you've also got tiredness, lethargy, exhaustion. There may be others out there as well. Meditation, of course, is a key term, but we can also think of mindfulness, breathing or breathing techniques, relaxation or relaxation techniques, yoga, guided imagery. These are other variations of this intervention. Comparison, there's not really a direct comparison in terms of how we're going to search for it. You could say it's implied when we are searching for meditation and related terms. Quality of life, of course, it could be quality of living, could be life quality, could be the matter of well-being, which could be 1 word or 2 words. And then, of course, we're not actually going to search directly for the 6-month period. It's just really illustrative of the time frame, as it were. Now, we have got the third row there, which are in uppercase, and as you might guess, these are actual subject headings. So adult is a subject heading in CINAHL. It's a CINAHL heading. Neoplasms, fatigue, other terms, exertion, again, is a subject term. And these may differ between the different databases, which again, we always stress the importance of searching them separately. So while there is at times maybe a need to cross-search both databases, and you could do that, ultimately, because of the nature of supporting assisted review, you really want to do a direct search within each database, and then you may need to modify that for running on the other database. So again, we're strictly speaking, we're going to search each database in turn. Now, in this in time. So in this session, we're only going to focus on searching one database as an illustration of the principles for searching in this way. And of course, you've got intervention, meditation, yoga, relaxation techniques. These are all subject terms and also quality of life. Again, this is the way we're going to approach it, the combination of free text searching and subject searching. Now, I want to also mention this, that you may have different approaches to this. First of all, you can run a default search, which is an unqualified search, which means that when you enter your search terms in CINAHL or MEDLINE, when you're searching in that fashion, you're not selecting any field code, for example, the title or abstract from the drop-down menu on the right that you see there. You'll see by default, it does say all fields on the search box. We'll see that live shortly. So when you search all fields, it means it's the search in CINAHL within the title, abstract fields, the subheadings, PubMed ID, digital object identifier, and author fields. Okay, so automatically it searches simultaneously across all those fields. So if your term or terms appear in any of those fields, and of course some of them don't really apply with text, such as PubMed ID, it will retrieve records, okay, results. Now for MEDLINE, there are a few more, as you can see highlighted there in bold. So you've got the registry number, registry word, you've got, again, mesh terms, title abstract, other abstract, author affiliation as well. So I'm showing this just to indicate that when you are searching in an unqualified fashion, which some advise, I know some universities advise their students to do an unqualified keyword search as opposed to just purely a title or abstract search, which we'll come to. But that gives you the default fields for each database, how they are searching behind the scenes. Now, we do have, again, an FAQ on this, which fields can be searched using the all fields drop-down list, and it gives you that information and a bit more for your information. Okay, so that's if you're approaching a systematic review in terms of doing an unqualified keyword search. Now, if you are going to be more specific, we'll come to that in a minute, but also to note there are a couple of things that impact an unqualified keyword search. The first one is the search mode. So in most cases, for searching EBSCOhost databases like CINAHL, MEDLINE, and others, the default search mode is proximity, which means that when you enter your keyword search terms, so for example, if you put in pressure ulcers, it would search for pressure near 5 words or less of ulcers, or ulcers near 5 words or less of pressure. Okay, that's the default setting. Now, proximity search can be modified, as it has been done in the NHS on the EBSCO Discovery Service, which they have in NHS England, and that is done as a phrase search. So there are some modifications, but generally speaking, when you see the search modes and you see that screenshot there, proximity means it's searching for the word terms in any order, but within a specified word range of 5 words or less. So that should be the default search mode. I know some institutions, I know particularly in the Nordics, I've seen find all my search terms selected, and that means essentially terms are combined using the AND operator. So if you put in pressure ulcer, it would search for pressure and ulcer, so both terms would appear somewhere in the citations. Again, depending on whether you've got unqualified search, it would search those other fields, or title abstract searching. So this does impact an unqualified search and the results that you'll get. If you had to find any selected, it would search for the same terms, but in any either or. So pressure or ulcers, but not necessarily both. So just bear that in mind. There is a context-sensitive help menu, as you see highlighted there, that will give you detailed information about each of the search modes and what they do. So again, bear that in mind. If you're not using a field code when you enter your keyword search terms, that would have an impact. The second thing that has an impact is the application of expanders. So using expanders broaden the search results in EBSCOhost. So how do they work? Well, we have 3 expanders. The first one, apply related words, which is not selected in the screenshot. That will map your keyword free text search term to an equivalent thesaurus term, so from mesh or the subheadings that are either synonyms or plurals of your term. So for example, if you did search for child, you might pick up childhood as well. Okay, but it's strictly related to the thesaurus, the index terms used for those subject indexes. Also, searching the full text of the articles does literally that. So typically, as we've seen, if you do a keyword search, it's searching across certain fields, etc., looking for those terms within particular elements of the record. But if you expand it to search within the full text, it will do exactly that. So where you have full text articles in PDF or HTML format, it will also search within the introduction, the conclusion, the references, etc. That is quite useful if you're struggling to find things, particularly if it's a new topic or a procedure or intervention. That could be useful. But again, it will expand your results and may also bring back more results than you typically want. And again, this is in relation to an unqualified keyword search. Apply current subjects, which is on by default in a lot of cases, it also impacts an unqualified search, because what it will do is map your concept. So if you were looking at occupational injuries or work-related injuries, it would map to the concept of occupational injuries. That in turn then identifies the equivalent subject terms within the database. Okay, so it's expanding your search to retrieve records that have been indexed with associated subject terms. So again, we have the context help menu there that's available as well. So that's just a reminder then, if you are using unqualified search. Now, if you're using or searching for title or abstract, those things won't necessarily impact your search in the same way. So if you enter your search terms, it could be a single term or a phrase like heart attack, or it could be a combined series of terms like heart attack or myocardial infarction, but you can specify it should retrieve records if they are available or present either in the title or abstract of records available within CINAHL or MEDLINE. So this screenshot is MEDLINE. So in other words, if those terms appear in either of those fields, possibly both, it would retrieve records. Okay, so title or abstract, and that's the XB field code. So, and you can see we've got an FAQ there to explore further. And also, if you want to use a command line query, you can place XB before the search string and it will do the same thing. So you don't have to use the drop down menu if you're familiar with the field codes. So XB for title or abstract, obviously TI is just title, AB is just abstract. So if you can use any of those field codes before the search string and perform the search in that way as well. So it really depends on your level of experience and your preference. Okay, so this is where we're focusing on title or abstract searching, and this is what we'll do in the live session today in this demonstration. Now, I just want to introduce something new to you. I think most of you probably have not seen this yet. This was launched, I think it's a couple of weeks ago now, and that's the use of suggested terms. Some may remember this from the classic interface, and some of you are still using this. But you'll notice this time the suggested terms option is now below. So again, you enter your keyword search term and you tick the box suggested terms. When you do that, the search button changes to suggest terms. When you click that, it will then take you to the thesaurus. So in this case, the Mesh 2026 thesaurus. Obviously, it will do the same for the CINAHL headings, for the CINAHL terms, and it will then map your keyword search to the appropriate index term. So we've got flu vaccine as the keyword search, and it highlights or directs you to influenza vaccine. Okay, so again, it's just a way you could say I'm browsing the thesaurus without going to the tab initially. You can just enter your keyword search term in the top search box, select suggested terms, click suggest terms, and it will take you straight to the thesaurus. Okay, so it's a new feature that was released recently. Of course, there are other ways to do this, which I'll show you as well. Okay, and then once you've done that, you select the term and add it to the search. Okay, now in terms of the truncation, which I mentioned at the beginning, and wildcards, we have these for the EBSCOhost interface. So these are applicable across all EBSCOhost databases, and obviously for CINAHL and MEDLINE. So we have truncation. Again, this is a shortcut to enable you to explore multiple concepts at the same time. So if you're looking for diabetes or diabetic, then you can replace or add the asterisk after T and find both variations. You can also use truncation, the asterisk symbol, between terms as well. So if you have a concept like ventilated pneumonia, which can also be rendered ventilator-acquired pneumonia or ventilator-associated pneumonia, if you place the asterisk between the two terms, you'll find all three variations. Okay. For exact phrase searching, please use the double quotation marks. So again, using the influenza vaccine there, and that will then retrieve at least, records where at least this phrase is mentioned at least once in the citation. Okay. And then finally, we've got wildcards. We've got the wildcard. So it's a single character or unknown character replacement. So if you're looking for organization, you can place the S or the Z with the question mark. Likewise, if you want to search for women or woman, then you can replace the A and the E. Another example would be analysis, such as cost-benefit analysis. You can have analysis or analyses, just replace the I or the E. And then we have alternate spelling. Now, alternate spelling typically works better in MEDLINE than in CINAHL. CINAHL typically compensates for the US-UK spelling, so you may want to just use this in MEDLINE primarily. So for pediatrics, color, behavior, also tumor, for example, you would use the hash wildcard. So for pediatrics, the hash wildcard appears after the P and before the E. For color and behavior, it's after the O and before the R. Okay, so again, we've got more information on searching with wildcards for the EBSCOhost interface, and there is more examples presented in the help sheet as well. Now, just moving on before we go to the live demonstration, also want to mention the proximity or precision searching for the EBSCOhost interface, and that means we've got the near and within operators. So what do those do? Well, near, as I mentioned earlier, with the proximity search mode, it will search for terms regardless of the order, but within a specified word range. So using gallbladder disease as an example, if you were to search for gallbladder disease or disease of the gallbladder, then you could enter gallbladder N5, that's near 5 words or less of disease. That would then find gallbladder and disease, and also disease of the gallbladder as well. Okay, so the terms would be in any order. If you want to be more restrictive, then you can use within. Example there is childhood within 8 words or less of obesity, so it finds the words in the order you enter them. So childhood is before obesity, but obesity is not before childhood, okay, in that sense. Now, multiple terms can be used on either side. So if you're looking for flu vaccine or influenza vaccine or vaccinations, then you can add, in parentheses there, for example, flu or influenza, N3, that's near 3 words less of vaccine. I've truncated vaccine, so it's vaccine, vaccines, vaccinated, vaccinations, vaccination. So I've added the asterisk after the N, and it'll find all those variations. So it could be flu vaccine or flu vaccination or flu vaccinations, or it could be influenza vaccine, vaccines for influenza, etc. Okay, so they're just ways you can combine the search using the precision operators to ensure you find all variations of the terms used, etc. Okay, so just to illustrate there, we'll incorporate some of this into the live search. Okay, so we'll go to the live demonstration now. Hasten to add also, for those who work in the HSC and also in the NHS, currently you're still using the classic interface. EBSCOhost is not live for you. It is live now. It is a site which is up and running, as it were, but you've not yet transitioned to it. So this is really a kind of a foretaste of what to expect once you transitioned to the new platform. For others in other institutions, such as the university sector, many of you have now switched to this. Others are still waiting to do that. But again, this may or may not be live for you depending on your institution. Okay, but I am now showing you a live site. So let me just go and share my screen with you. Hopefully you can see this. If anyone cannot see it, please do let me know. But you should now be seeing the CINAHL database on the new EBSCOhost interface. So more and more we're just talking about EBSCOhost as opposed to new, because this is for the majority of our customers worldwide. They're now using this. Okay, there's still some of the UK are not. So this is the way it looks right now. So we've got obviously the default landing page. This is what we call the landing page. This is the advanced search screen where you can form both keyword and subject searches. We have, of course, the search boxes here. You can add multiple rows, more rows, up to 12 in fact, if you prefer. You have those. We have the drop-down menus. I mentioned all fields in the PowerPoint. So you can see there, we've got these elements here. And the operators to combine terms and or not here as well. And the search options, I mentioned the search modes. You can see this information is here. Proximity is the default search mode on my demonstration site. We also have the context-sensitive menu here to explore this further, which I mentioned in the PowerPoint. So it does give you more detailed information on each of those search modes and how they're searching. And of course, that does impact your search. And likewise with the expanders, you've got this one, it's selected apply current subjects. If you want more information about each of these, click on the link to EBSCO Connect, and that will take you to this page with more information. Okay. Now, we do have an online help menu as well. So I know some of you may be making notes, some of you may be signing in live to follow me, and that's fine. But we do have an online help system on the left-hand navigation panel. And you'll see here, it does give you this quick guide with more information. Okay, so again, there's a lot of information here that you can follow up post-session. Now, for those who are curious about other databases and what the default search is, I showed you that for CINAHL and MEDLINE on the PowerPoint. There is this link to the database help files. If I click on that, and you may have the other versions of these databases. So for example, if you subscribe to CINAHL Ultimate, or if you have MEDLINE Complete, there's also the help files, the original help files for these databases, and that will give you, again, more detailed information about an unqualified search and also details of the field code. So again, this is our database help files. So if you want something specific in relation to a database regarding help menu, then this is the place to go to. Okay. So again, that's from the help menu on the left-hand column. So what we'll do now, we will begin the search, and we know we recall from our search that we're looking at adults, okay, an adult group of patients, and they've got cancer and they're experiencing fatigue. So we're searching for all these terms. So I am making a variation of what I did before previously, but what I'll do here, if we're looking for adults, then we can add truncation. So that would find adult, adults, and adulthood. So that's our first search, and we're going to choose from the drop down the title or abstract search. So we're going to look for terms like adult, adults, adulthood that appear in the title or abstract of records in CINAHL. And of course, if we're a MEDLINE, then it will be the same kind of search, but within that database. So we're going to click search here. And then once I do that, now this, I'm using the advanced search result list page, which means what it means is that it maintains the search boxes above, but you see the search history below. Okay, so you can see how we searched already. This is S1 or set 1. XB, that's the field code we're using. Adult is truncated to incorporate adults, adulthood, etc. The search options are shown, but again, because we're using the field code, these won't apply directly, but they are always listed. So again, for transparency, for recording your search, these are detailed, especially if you're doing an unqualified search. The number of results per set is given, and then the database is listed, so we know we're searching in CINAHL. Okay, now there are these tools menus here for each line where you can edit the search details as well. So if you want to go in, for example, edit search, then you can add other terms or review this if you wish, and then update and then rerun, and it will adjust the search results as appropriate. So again, some instances you may spot an error, a typo, you just may want to revise the truncation, you may want to add some precision operators, etc. You can do that for a single line search currently. So that's the first step, and the second half, of course, is to explore the equivalent meshed or CINAHL term for adults. So what I'm going to do here is go to new search. I am going to go now and go to CINAHL headings. So I'll see, you see here CINAHL headings, and I'll just search for adult. So what I'm doing here, I'm browsing a thesaurus. Notice adult is a term, so I can select this term. You can see that this refers to a person between the age of 19 and 44, right? So after that, it becomes middle age. So again, bear that in mind when we're selecting the various terms. Okay, so strictly speaking, adult here, when you select it alone, it's going to go refer to this adult, this grade group. But of course, look at all adults. They could be 60, they could be 70, they could be 80, etc. So what we want to do here, scroll down. We'll look at the subject tree. So this is the subject tree, and you can see adult comes under name groups by age and name groups. This is the hierarchy of subject terms that are used by indexers to assign to various articles where those elements are referred to. Now, adult here, if you look across the right, you'll see we've got major concept and the explode column. Major concept, if you just select that, would just mean you retrieve records where adult is the main focus of that paper, etc., or book chapter or dissertation, etc. The explode column indicates that we are including other terms as well. So we're including aged here, for example. So what we can do is, and middle-aged and young adult as well. Okay, so it's going to include all those. If we just deselect that, we would literally be retrieving records that are indexed only with adult, and that means we're restricted to a patient group from age 19 to 44. If we select explode, it's going to include age and middle-aged and young adult as well. Okay, so it's going to include those other terms. Now, there is a series of subheadings too, which you can also apply in this. So you're looking at the ethical issue or psychosocial factors, you can include these as well. Okay, these are just limit your subject search to those elements within the subject term. Okay, but we're going to keep it quite broad. Again, the purpose of a systematic review is really to find out what all studies that are out there, or as much as possible. So we'll keep it broad initially. So I'm going to now jump to the top of the screen. I'm going to click add to search, this button here, and notice it then adds the search to the search box. MH indicates it's the exact CINAHL subject heading, which you can see from the drop down menu. When you scroll down, you'll see, let's see, exact heading here. So okay, so it's a index term within the CINAHL headings, and click search here. Okay. Now, once I've done that, since they are like terms, one is the free text search term, which could include adults or adulthood. One is, specifically speaking, the subject search, again, subheadings which are assigned to any paper, dissertation, report, book, chapter, which mentions adults. Okay, so that will be assigned with a heading. So I'll select both these sets here and combine in using the OR operator. So click combine with OR and click search. So I'm grouping them together in one set of results. So anything related to adults, whether it's based on the free text search term or the subject term, will be included. Now notice the results here. So if we'd relied solely on the free text search keyword search, we'd have had over 500,000. In using the index term, you'd find 2.2 million, but if you combine the two, you find 2.4 million. And that's important because it means that not everything that you find in CINAHL or MEDLINE is currently indexed. Now, we talked about in CINAHL, pre-CINAHL records that are added to the database, but they are not assigned index terms. So, for example, item 1 here, which mentions adults, has, in fact, this does have subject heading, sorry. There may be some that don't actually. I'm just looking if there's any here at the moment. Okay, probably not, because they're displaying this set. But the bottom line is that a combination of keyword searching and subject searching is always useful because you are going to retrieve more records. Okay, and not everything in CINAHL or MEDLINE is fully indexed. So if they do not have subject headings, when you use the subject term, so again, adult, you would not retrieve those records. So you can compensate for that by doing a keyword search as well. Okay, so these are the three sets. We grouped the first set, which is the adult patients. Now, we know they also have cancer, so that's another thing we need to factor in here. So I'm going to type in cancer here, and I'll also truncate, so that's cancers or cancerous. I'll add neoplasms. Okay, use the Boolean OR. And generally speaking, when you enter the operator OR here, I would put it in uppercase. You can still use it in lowercase, but there are times when that word may not be treated as an operator. So again, it could skew your results. So generally speaking, for and, or, etc., or even not, use them in uppercase when you enter them. Then there's oncology, could be oncologic or oncologist. So I'm going to just truncate here. And then we've got tumor as well. Okay, so tumor. Now, you can, of course, incorporate the wildcard like this. So that's tumor OR or OUR. As I said, there is general compensation for this in CINAHL. So what I might do, I'm just going to defer to the UK spelling for now. Okay, so again, you can enter these multiple terms, as you see there. And then, again, we're looking at those terms as they appear in either of these fields, title or abstract, and run the search here. Okay. So that's the keyword search term. So you say S4 now. If we go to new search, we'll look for the equivalent subject term. Now what I can do here, I can actually put in cancer and use suggest subject terms here. For example, this one here, and click suggest terms, and I'll map to this cancer, use neoplasms. If I select neoplasms, I can select it here. Notice it's selected below as well, but notice also I've got related headings like cancer fatigue, cancer survivors, chemotherapy, cancer, oncology. I can also include these related headings too. So when I explode neoplasms, it's going to include cancer-associated fibroblasts and childhood neoplasms as well. Okay, although I'm not focusing on children specifically. But with those now, I can then add to the search, and you'll see all those terms are combined using the OR operator. Okay, so we want anything where neoplasms is a subject heading, or cancer fatigue, or cancer survivors. So if any of those terms are assigned to a paper or article, book, chapter in CINAHL, they will be retrieved. Okay, so I'm going to click search here. And bring my results. And again, as before, I'll combine the two sets, S4, S5, so the title object search with the subject search using OR, and click search. Okay, I'm just going to check if there's any questions at this stage. Again, please feel free to post them. Okay, so we've got those two sets now. And of course, the other factor is that these ones are experiencing fatigue. So in this one population group, we have adults with cancer experience fatigue. So we're going to group those together in a moment. So what I'll do here, okay, is now search for fatigue. So again, a keyword search, so it could be fatigue or fatigued. So I will truncate here. It could be exhaustion. It could be exhausted. So again, I'm going to truncate here. Likewise, tiredness, it could be tire or tiredness or tired. So again, I'm going to just truncate. And also lethargy, which could be lethargic as well. So let's put these here. Okay, so just using truncation here in this instance. So I'll explore those terms. Okay, and then, or it could be also exertion also could be added. So in fact, let me do this. I'll just run this search. Okay, total abstract and search here, and I'll show you how you can edit the search string again with a live example. Okay, so I've got that search string S7. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, make it a bit bigger for you. But I just remember I want to include exertion as well. So I can go into the tools menu on the right, go to edit search details, and click edit search. And I can add also exerted or exertion, and I will just put truncate it again. So I'm adding another concept here for this title object search. I click update search, click continue, close this page, and you'll see that's now been changed and the results have also been updated. Okay, so it's very straightforward to edit a line of search, either if you make a mistake, if you just want to revise it, add other elements of the syntax, then you could do that. Now, if we go back to new search and we will look at the equivalent things, so again, I can go to fatigue here. I can select enter fatigue here and suggest edit terms, click suggest terms here, and then you see we've got fatigue here. Now, also mentions cancer fatigue here, but if I click fatigue here, that cancer fatigue was also picked up in the previous search as well. So I click fatigue. Exertion is a related term, so again, I can choose that related heading. And if I scroll down, you'll see it will also include cancer fatigue, emotional exhaustion as well. Okay, so I've got other things, for example, mental fatigue, may want to include that as well. I can scroll down, then maybe some others here. Let's scroll down further. No, stuff like that. Jump to the top, click add to search, and you'll see those three elements. So all these are three CINAHL headings, and two of these, fatigue and mental fatigue, are exploited to include other terms. Exertion was the related heading as well. So click search here. So again, that means you're retrieving articles where those headings have been assigned to those results. Now, I've got that set here, so I can combine S7, S8 into one, and then click search. So this is quite a more complex search because obviously there's three elements associated with the first part of PICO, the patient problem, etc., the population. So what I can do now is combine all three. Now I can resort the search history, by the way, by clicking ID, and you can see we start with adults. This is S3, so that's the title abstract search combined with the subject search. We then also needed to factor in the matter of cancer. These are cancer patients, and they also experience fatigue. So that's S9, the two sets combined into one. So we're going to combine these initial three sets for the first, the P element of PICO, and I'm going to use combine with and here. When I do that, you'll see they're combined on the top of the screen, and click search. So essentially then, we must find records where adult cancer patients with fatigue are mentioned. Okay, so we've now got a set below, okay, S10, and we'll move on to the next element, which relates to meditation. So with this, we can now go on further. So we'll go back and search meditation, which could be meditate. So we're going to truncate this too. We can look at mindfulness therapy or mindfulness. So we're going to also put mindful and truncate it. That's mindful or mindfulness. Breathing, of course, or breath, breathing or breathe. So we're going to put the truncation there. We use yoga too, and also not yoga or guided imagery. So I'm now using double quotation marks for the exact phrase guided imagery. So again, these are keyword free text searches searched within the title or abstract. So we're going to run this search. Okay, I think we're satisfied with that. Click search. Again, if anyone spots any errors, typos on my part, please do let me know. and we can amend the search as needed. Okay, so we've got that series or set there. So this is S11. And then we'll look for the equivalent subject search. So again, you can go to new search, and if you prefer, you can go to straight to CINAHL headings and browse the thesaurus in this way. So what I can do here is look at meditation, and then you see there is a term, meditation, and you see the scope note confirming what that means. Also used for, so if you search for meditations, it would pick up this term, likewise transcendental meditation as well. So select this term. You see the hierarchies that comes under relaxation techniques, mind-body techniques, etc. So we can select guided imagery and also relaxation techniques, but I'm not going to explode that because we're already selecting meditation. So we've got relaxation techniques, guided imagery, meditation there. You can scroll down further and you'll see we've got mind-body techniques there as well. And we've got, so I'm going to not explode that one because we included the other terms already. And then we've got yoga also. So again, these are all these elements. And again, jump to the top of the screen, click add to search, and you'll see them included in the search string there. So then click search. So we'll see that listing of subject terms, which is now S12 in the search history. So we can combine S11, S12 with OR to group them together in one set of results. Okay, so everyone's following me now, whether you're doing it online or just making notes or just literally watching on screen. You will have the recording to refer to at some point as well. But again, this is just the process we're taking. And of course, we now need to consider the other element, which is quality of life. So for that, again, we'll start off with the keyword search. So we're going to go here, and I'm going to do or include some of the elements of, let's see, excuse me, of quality of life. So what I'm going to do here is quality of life. So quality N2 life, and probably I might best put it in quotation marks, sorry, parentheses. So that would be quality of life. That's quality near 2 words or less of life or life quality. Okay. Now also QOL as the acronym. And then we have also well-being, which could be 1 word. Okay. Or it might be being well, being N2 well. So being well or well-being. So it could be 2 words or less there. Okay. And we could also have living quality or quality of living. So but living N2 quality. So that'd be living quality or quality of living. So within 2 words or less. So you could modify this maybe 3 words or less if you prefer. And then we'll just select title abstract. Okay. And click search here. Okay. So the final thing we'll do here in terms of this final set before we combine them all is, of course, the quality of life. So again, you can go in, if you prefer, you can use quality of life and then use suggest subject terms here. Click suggest terms and map it to the source. And you see we've got quality of life, quality of working life, quality adjusted life years, etc. Again, I'd recommend just clicking on the initial term, and you can see this rates the general well-being of an individual, which we're looking for. Select quality of life, scroll down, see its place in the hierarchy of terms. So that includes comfort, occupation, human, quality of working life as well. If you do want to include those, then you would just untick the box to explode. And then scroll down if there's any others that might be of interest here, which there's not. Again, if you use MEDLINE, you might find other terms that are included. And then click search here, add to search, search, and then you'll see that it's S15 or set 15, and then select the 2 sets and combine with OR and search. Okay, so that we're not going to do the 6-month time frame as I mentioned earlier, but we've now got those sets, and I'm going to resort them so you can see the sequence again more logically. So click ID. So we've already combined the elements of the PICO, so the adult cancer patients with fatigue. That is S10. We're now going to combine that with meditation and related terms, which is S13, and we're combining it with the quality of life, which is S16. So although we have the 5 elements initially of PICO or PICOT, we're actually going to use 3 of them here. So the patient and population group relates to the first set, S10, the intervention related to meditation and other concepts is S13, and then the outcome element is quality of life or well-being is S16. And we're combining, use the Boolean AND here, and then run the search. And I'm very conscious of the time here, so I need to move on quickly. Okay, so we've got the search results there. Okay, we've got 251 records, and you can see the items below. Okay, so again, if anyone's got questions or comments on this, please do let us know. So we've got our results here. Again, we're not looking at processing them per se, because obviously we'll cover that in part 2. But just to highlight the search functionality as we went through this, as well as the search history, if you go to recent activity, that will also display the search as well. Okay, and again, you can resort. If you go to oldest from the drop down, it will resort and show the sequence. Okay, so you can see that there. Okay, so if you wanted to rerun this search, by the way, you would just go down the bottom of the screen and click the final set. Okay, you can see the fact there's more sets here. There's this one here. You'd click on that and it'd rerun the search and bring back the results of that search for you to review. Okay, we are introducing some changes to saving search sets and rerunning them, and I'll point out to you the documentation in relation to that perhaps, and that's in this PowerPoint as well. So again, you might want to refer to that later. Okay, so I'm conscious one thing I needed to do here, and I haven't done yet, is if I just go back to the PowerPoint, is quickly move on to the matter of the methodological search review. Again, illustration of the search history, and you can see the assigned elements of PICO there. So we've got, in this example, though, it does only give you the cancer, and we didn't include adults here. There are other ways to filter, which I'll also show you as well. So again, this is those with cancer, fatigue, etc. With fatigue, the meditation, of course, was the intervention, and the outcome is related to quality of life. Okay, so one thing I did do with the search today is include adult as a specific search. Now, in this illustration, there is a reference to adults as a filter, so I'll show you where that filter is in a moment. Also want to mention, we do have these help sheets for both CINAHL and MEDLINE. These gives you detailed examples of the syntax you use. So if you're doing a total abstract search, or if you're searching by subject, MH, using Truncation, Wildcards, it gives you the specific element and then a description of it and how to use it. Okay, so these are just handouts which are useful if you're familiarizing yourself with the EBSCO syntax. So always make sure you use the syntax that's intended for the CINAHL data and MEDLINE databases on EBSCOhost, and these are available on our EBSCO support site. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a minute. Just to mention these methodological search filters. So we have several that are available. So for CINAHL, we have the evidence-based practice filter, which is available through the initial landing page, the advanced search page. And that is a tick box, essentially, to select evidence-based practice as a filter, which will then limit your results to articles from evidence-based practice journals, articles about evidence-based practice, and also research articles, which includes systematic reviews and commentaries on research studies. In MEDLINE, we have EBM reviews, evidence-based medicine reviews, and this will limit your search in a similar fashion from the filters menu on the advanced search page to the following 6 titles. So Cochrane database of systematic reviews, so you'll generate your results with Cochrane reviews if they're available, ACP Journal Club, clinical evidence, and so on. So they're really shortcuts to identify more high quality literature. Perhaps in your initially scoping the topic, you want to see some initial or what's been done before. For example, other reviews have been done on this subject, then you can use those filters. Now, we also have clinical queries as well. So these can also be applied, and they are designed to retrieve results based on high sensitivity. So they are broadest search to include oral material, or high specificity, which is the most targeted search to include only the most relevant results set. So we see you've got therapy, prognosis, review, qualitative, and causation or etiology covered in CINAHL. So you see the example there from the drop-down menu where it gives you the specific area covered, and then you see the various 3 strategies that can be applied. So high sensitivity, specificity, or best balance between them. Okay, so there are those 5 areas for CINAHL. And again, just an example of how they're used. So for each of these strategies, there is a search strategy behind it. So you can see for high sensitivity for therapy, you can see the search string that sits behind that. So that's actually what is going on in the background. And you see that with therapy best balance as well, and the application of the title or abstract searching, etc. So again, we have more detailed information on EBSCO Connect in relation to this. We also have 9 areas for the clinical queries for MEDLINE. So we do have therapy again and reviews, but we also have diagnosis. We also have costs and economics as well. Okay, so again, working in the same way. And an illustration again for diagnosis. You can see here for high specificity, which is the most targeted search, it's using a search within the title or abstract fields. Okay, so again, these are applied to your search. So just to demonstrate this briefly, so if I go back to my search, I'm going to just switch screens quickly. Go back to my search here, share. Okay, so the first thing I'll show you just quickly is with the, let's see here. So if I go back to new search here, for example, just to highlight where you'll find this information. So for CINAHL, you'll see we've got evidence-based practice. So you enter your search terms above and apply it there. For the clinical queries, likewise, if you scroll down, you'll see here we've got the various areas covered here. Okay, now if we were to switch to MEDLINE, you can switch databases here. So if I go to MEDLINE and deselect CINAHL and go to MEDLINE and click select here, you'll see on the same landing page, we've got EBM reviews and then also clinical queries. Okay, so for example, when I wanted to run a search, if I did one on, let's do clinical query here. If I did, let's do one here on, let's do for therapy. I'll do high specificity on, let's go for, let's see, stroke rehabilitation, for example. I haven't tried this one before, so let's see how we get on using therapy, and then I click search here. So now 4,000 results, okay, that appears in the search history, and I can hide that, by the way, and you'll see this randomized control trial, again, RCT, etc. A lot of RCTs here, and then so on. Okay, so these are RCTs. Okay, so you're looking for a bunch of RCTs in relation to stroke rehabilitation. That's one way to do it. Okay, so again, and if you want to check the publications as well, if you go to all filters, you can check the actual publications as well, where they're appearing also, and you can sort them alphabetically as well. So again, if you want to see what's been done before, you can. There is also an EBM reviews filter here as well, by the way, on this page. So again, there are other filters there. Okay, so just to show those quickly as a shortcut. Now, if I go out to my search history, what I might do here is also briefly show you this. If I click, just delete this search string here, and then go back to my original search, so for S17, and I'll just reorder these. If I want to restrict my or filter my search to a particular time frame, for example, all dates here, I can go for the last, say, 10 years. I can do that here. But it's done it. Sorry, it's done it for the wrong one. Let me go back to this search here. Okay, not this one. Sorry, it's just redone that one. So let me just delete that again. Okay, let me cancel this. It's just sorry, I just duplicated it here. So delete that one. It's easy to delete a set if you do what I've just done and not edit. Sorry, just too quick here. Okay. So let me just delete this set again. Okay, tools menu, delete, click delete again, and that's gone. Right, so if I now go back to the search, okay, bring that results there below. Okay, 251 records. If I go to all dates here, past 10 years, and then you'll see we've got 165 results. So these are the results of the search from 251 to 165. So these are no more than 10 years old in terms of publication date, etc. Okay, so what I can do here also, there's another filter I mentioned earlier as well. You've got English language here. If you want English language only, you can filter there. And also you've got age. So obviously we did explore adults. So again, you've got middle-aged adult here, adult 65 plus, and so on. Or you could just go for, yeah, okay, and you can apply this to the search as well. Okay, so there's adult age groups. Okay. And apply. So we did use the keyword searching and the use of the index terms in any case. So we've now filtered, and you'll see the age group is factored in as a subject heading. Okay, so the age group filter is actually the subject headings used. So again, you can apply them in that fashion as well. Okay, I will show you probably just one more thing I'll show you here is obviously if you wanted to download the search itself, then you can select this, click download, and you have a choice of format. So I won't do that now because of time, PDF, Word, or CSV. So if you're on a table of the search itself, which you can then edit in Excel, then you can use CSV. Otherwise, if you've got a Word document, you want to incorporate that too, you can use Word or PDF by default, and there are other formats as well. Okay, so you can download it from here. Okay. Okay. And then finally, if you wanted to save the search, you can also use the save menu here. Now, I will probably cover this in the next session, essentially, but just briefly show you this. I know we're near past the hour mark now. So save the search, you would overwrite the search string. I put adult cancer patients with fatigue and meditation. Okay. Meditation. I can then scroll down, bottom of the page, all the way down, save, close, and then this is in the save folder. Okay, under searches. So it's now there, and it does list the filters and the parameters related to the search, time saved, and also the number of records as well. And if you want to save this beyond the session, you will need to be signed in here. So you create an account with EBSCO, and then you'd sign into it. So we'll cover that in the next session. Okay, in terms of processing results as well. But just to highlight, you can save the search there and also click to rerun it as well. Okay, so I'm going to jump back now, stop sharing and wrap up here. Okay, so we had the demonstration of the filters just briefly there. So a reminder that obviously we're always endeavoring to meet the PRISMA guidelines, the PRISMA checklist, etc. in terms of reproducibility, in terms of, the search strategy, so we can present the full strategy to you. There are some enhancements coming to it as well, which I'll allude to in a moment. So again, there's some elements there. So this page is probably the key page really to go to, because it does give you the new interface updates for advanced search and systematic review. So basically specific elements which would impact, or in a positive way, what you're doing in terms of supporting systematic reviews. So again, I recommend checking that page and viewing that for the updates. So just some take-home points. Obviously use PICO or PICOT or other frameworks. There's others out there to construct the search strategy. Search using the free text keywords and subject headings. So whether it's free text where you're searching within the title or abstract, or an unqualified search, but combine that with the appropriate thesaurus terms. So it's MESH, MEDLINE, or CINAHL headings. Always use the EBSCO syntax as well for databases. So again, the EBSCO's databases has a particular syntax. Again, wildcards, truncation, proximity search operators. Again, make sure that you use those rather than some other provider syntax to get the best results. And also consider using methodological search filters when available to identify key articles to give clues for search terms, etc. So again, you might find other research similar to what's been done before, and then you may find other terms from those results as well. In terms of training support, I've included some of the support materials here, some links to documentation, and also we have the EBSCO Connect support portal, connect.ebsco.com, again with tutorials, handouts, and updates as well. And for those who are specifically involved with healthcare databases, whether you're in the NHS, HSC, or just in other university institutions, then we do have the Healthcare Training Resources portal, and that will feature various elements, including the recordings that we have, or webinars, upcoming training sessions, and additional support information, specifically related to the likes of CINAHL and MEDLINE and healthcare databases that are out there on the EBSCO platform. So appreciate that as a quick conclusion to this session, but I'm happy to take any questions that there are if you want to post them in the Teams chat or any feedback. And of course, there's a QR code if you wish to feedback online in terms of this session. So we do appreciate comments and obviously questions, and to enhance these sessions going forward. And they will be continued to develop, because obviously as new features get released, we will also bring those up in these sessions as well. So are there any final questions or comments in terms of this session? And I will also mention you can, of course, contact me directly at rquicks@ebsco.com if you have anything particular you want to raise with me as a trainer. Okay, thank you.